Hello and welcome to the Jambalaya tutorial. In this tutorial I will cover the basics of how to navigate ontologies in Jambalaya. If you would like to follow along with this tutorial, download the full version of Protege from protege.stanford.edu and run it. During this tutorial I will be using the Wines ontology, which can be found inside the Protege examples directory. So let's open that project now. Once Protege is open, the first thing we would like to do is display the Jambalaya tab. To do this, go under the Project Configure menu and select Jambalaya tab and then click OK. Now, the first time Jambalaya is displayed, you'll notice a Quick Start dialog is displayed. This dialog contains useful information on how to get up and running with Jambalaya quickly. Most of this information I will be discussing today. Alright, so what am I seeing here? Jambalaya represents the ontology as a nested graph. Classes are represented by nodes, and properties or slots are the arcs between nodes. If you position your mouse over a node or over an arc, you will see a tooltip as shown in front of you. You left-click to select a node and it will be rendered in a darker blue border. You also left-click and drag to move nodes around the canvas. If you would like to select multiple nodes, press down the Control key and then click on further nodes to select them as well. The default view in Jambalaya is a nested view. It uses the has subclass and has instance properties to define a hierarchy, the same way as the class browser tree, which you are probably familiar with. There are 5 different ways in which Jambalaya labels nodes, and they are shown in this bottom drop-down menu here. There is on-node, fit-to-node, wrap-to-node, above-node fix, which is the default, and above-node level, which unfortunately is cut off. I usually use either the fit-to-node or the above-node fixed option. I find they do the best job of producing easily readable labels in most situations. You can also show labels on arcs by clicking on the Arc Labels checkbox. Now I'm going to run a layout here to get Jambalaya back to where we started from, and then I'll move on to the next topic, which is zooming. One of Jambalaya's main features is its smooth animated zooming. To zoom in on a node, such as Winery, middle-click on it. This will enlarge Winery and make it take up the entire view and will show its children too. To zoom back out again, middle-click outside of Winery. If you do not have a middle mouse button, you can go up to the toolbar at the top and click on the Zoom In tool. Then to zoom in, left-click on a node. To zoom back out again, left-click again. This zooming that I've been demoing here is called magnify. There are 2 other types of zooming, normal zoom and fisheye. Normal zoom will scale the graph in by a fixed amount based on where you click your mouse button. And fisheye zoom will enlarge the node that you click on while shrinking the surrounding nodes. So notice how Winery gets larger and all the other nodes around it get smaller. Now I'm going to reset the graph back to the way it was when we started and move on to the next topic, which is filtering. Many times when browsing ontology, you might find that the Jambalaya view gets too cluttered. There are too many nodes on the screen. To simplify the graph, many filtering options are available. The first one that I'm going to talk about is node and arc type filtering. Ensure that the node filter and arc filter dialogs are displayed. To simplify the graph, if you want to hide all instances, uncheck the Instances checkbox, and you'll notice that instances are hidden from the graph. The same thing can be done for archetypes. To hide the food archetype, go into the Arc Filter panel and uncheck the Food Connects Classes relationship, and it will be hidden from the graph. One other way to simplify the graph is you can right-click on any node and choose Hide. This will let you remove specific nodes from the graph. If you at any time want to bring back the nodes that you've hidden, you can right-click anywhere on the graph and choose Show All Hidden Nodes. We can also do the exact same thing for arcs. Right-click on an arc and choose Hide Arc. And to show it again, right-click and choose Show Hidden Arcs. The next thing I'm going to talk about is quick views. These are one of Jambalaya's newest and most powerful features. They are predefined views which make it very easy to browse the ontology in certain ways. They are listed here in this middle panel. So far I've only been showing you the nested view, which is the default. The next one down is the nested tree map view. It displays every class and instance in a tree map layout. and all relationships or arcs are hidden. The next one is the nested composite view. It is very similar to the default view with one exception. In this view, instead of showing individual arcs, we have now composite or high-level arcs. These composite arcs, are made up of many individual arcs that have been pulled up from the lower levels of the ontology where the instances or subclasses are. To see the details about these composite arcs, you can hover your mouse over one of these big red arcs and you'll see each individual relationship. If you would like to expand out this composite arc, double-click on the source and target node and then double-click on the composite arc. Now you see all the individual relationships. And again, you can collapse the source and target nodes to bring back the composite arcs. The next quick view I'm going to talk about is the class and instance tree. If we click this button here, we get a warning that's just letting us know that there are going to be a lot of nodes displayed on the screen. Click Yes to continue. This class and instance tree quick view displays every class and instance in a vertical tree layout, so it can be pretty crowded if you have a large ontology. You'll see the has subclass relationship is shown in blue, and the has instance relationship is shown in red. The next one is the class tree quick view. It focuses only on classes and all instances are hidden. Now if you want to define your own quick views, you can click on the Custom Views button down at the bottom. This will bring up a dialog that lets you configure quick views and lets you create new ones, edit existing ones, delete quick views. You can also revert back to defaults if you've made any changes. You can import quick views from a file, or you can export quick views to a file. Now there's a lot more to quick views that I haven't had a chance to talk about, and it's out of the scope of this tutorial, but please visit our website and for more information. Now one problem I've mentioned earlier in this tutorial that comes up again and again is that when navigating ontologies, especially large ones, there are still too many nodes displayed on the screen, which make it very difficult to work with. And perhaps we're only interested in a subset of the ontology too. So, for example, if we're only interested in the wine subsection of the ontology, we can select wine and drag it onto the class tree quick view. This will change the graph so that only wine and its subclasses are now shown. We can take this one step further if we want to zoom in on red wine and do the same thing to show simply red wine and its subclasses. And now we have a view that is quite simple. You can read most of the labels and perhaps get a little bit better understanding. Another way to do a similar thing is to click on the Root Classes button down at the bottom. And if we're interested only in one wine region, so in this case I'm going to choose the French region here, it will change the graph so that French region is now the root class, and you'll see only French region and its subclasses. The major difference in this approach is that now the class browser is also changed to have French region as the root. To get back to the original way of having OwlThing at the root, click on Root Classes and select OwlThing. This brings us to the last topic in the tutorial, and that are the layouts. Let me first find a suitable subsection of the ontology to use, and then we'll get started. To run a layout, the easiest thing to do is use the buttons in the middle of the top toolbar. There's the grid layout, radial layout, spring layout, vertical tree, and horizontal tree. I'm now going to run each of these layouts so you see what they do. Here's the grid layout. Next we have a radial layout and the spring layout, followed by the vertical tree layout, and lastly the horizontal tree layout. There are also many more layouts that can be found in the Arrange Children context menu. So this brings me to the end of the tutorial. There are many other features which I haven't talked about yet, such as how to search an ontology. To do that, you can use the binoculars button at the top, or you can use the quick search below. And lastly, there's a few other tools I didn't mention, such as the film strip, the query view, and all the rest of them that are listed in the Tools menu. I invite you to visit the Jambalaya website for full details on how to use these features, and I thank you for listening to the tutorial today. I hope it was useful.